We are headed into week 12 and the 49ers are 5-5, something that seemed inconceivable once the season started. The 49ers were supposed to, race through the first half of the schedule, enter the second half, what was supposed to be a daunting murderer's row. But now the margin for error is slim. They can't afford to probably lose 2 more games if they want to make the playoffs. And after this latest loss against the Seahawks, we're seeing people pile on Kyle Shanahan. And we're seeing people blame whether it's the offensive line, Brock Purdy, receivers not separating. On one hand, all of that can be true, but I want to go over what actually happens in the game so we can eliminate the narratives. We can talk about who's really at fault. And when I say fault, I don't really mean fault. I really want to say on a play in and play out basis, there's not always somebody to blame. It's just football and plays happen. So let's talk about exactly what went down on offense against the Seahawks. During the year, we kind of talked about, Brock Purdy forming bad habits, and those bad habits lead to plays like this where his back foot hits, and as soon as that hits, he's taken off to scramble. So all of the wide receivers' routes are a waste, essentially, right? Just because the quarterback, in his mind, because he felt like he's being pressured, because he feels like I need to make something happen, he's just taken off. And that's just the opposite color flashing. Not even Colton McKivitz, he's not beaten right here. At all. In reality, it should be Purdy's back foot hits, and he throws this deep dagger over the middle to Deebo Samuel, who's not going to be occupied by the middle linebacker because that linebacker has to take into account the wide receiver right in front of him. So this is a layup right here. This is an explosive play. Look at this separation for today's Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, all you're hearing about is the 49ers wide receivers not separated. I'm going to show you how embarrassingly false that is. There is nobody within 5 yards of Deebo. Obviously, we've seen what Deebo looks like when the ball's in his hands when he gets a running start. This is one explosive play on this is second down early in the game. And instead, you get a scramble. So sure, it's a positive gain. But if we're thinking process, right? If we're thinking in terms of what will win long-term for the 49ers, it's not Purdy relying on his legs as a primary threat, right? That's supposed to be secondary. That's supposed to be something that last case scenario, nobody's open. I got to take off and bail out the offense. Not once my back foot hits, I better take off. So it's a great gain here, but as you saw from the end zone angle, there's nobody. Deebo should have a run and catch. And who knows what happens if that's the case. All right, third down. Who are they going to go to? We know who they're going to go to. So 49ers, they're going to run return routes to both wide receivers. Juwan Jennings is going to run up, act like he's going out, and return in. Same thing with Deebo. He's going to run up, act like he's running out route, and return in. Deebo gets hemmed up. So if you're watching this route, then sure, there's a lack of separation target. But context here, right? How is he supposed to gain separation when that's his route and when the ball needs to be out on time, which it is. It does a great job, and it's right at the sticks, actually a yard before the sticks, but if he throws it on time, that's exactly how the NFL works, right? That is NFL open. Keep that in mind as we're going through these plays. You only need an arm's length at most to be open in the NFL for a quarterback to throw it. On this play, Purdy does a really good job of acknowledging and recognizing that not only who's my best wide receiver, that's Juwan Jennings, as we've established. Great job. Christian McCaffrey here in pass protection. Through, meeting linebacker head up. And then again, Brock does a good job there. Playing on time. Back foot hits. Finds Jennings. Gives him a chance. First down. Moves to 6. So there are a couple plays in this game where I thought Brock Purdy predetermined his throws. And maybe that's just because, I think we can drop the maybe. Probably because George Kittle's not on the field. So on this play, Eric Saubert, tight end, he's going to run right through the middle. He's wide open. Touchdown. With the wide receivers to the bottom, Juwan Jennings, he's going to run deep out. Kyle Shanahan, he's going to run deep out. So they're going to be the higher routes. And Deebo is going to settle up under here and run a curl route. So it's 2nd and 5. You want the first down, right? So in one sense, you're not going to fault Brock for taking what's there. Again, separation-wise, wide open. Look at that space. Ball is there. They end up getting the first down. So no separation issues there. But if we go to the end zone angle and Brock's looking directly down the middle, he predetermines where he's going to go with the football. If this player right here is George Kittle, boom, touchdown, right? But he's not going to trust 82 because it's not 85. but you have to just, all right, I guess the easiest way to put it is you have to trust him, as tough as that may be, knowing that's not 85. Back foot hits, wide open. Look at that space. There's a big window for a touchdown. And instead, you get a first down, but it's there. And I want to show more than one play, because on the last throw should be a touchdown, right? Don't even have to worry about what happens next. The play before this, Brock got sacked by the turf monster. They end up getting a touchdown here because of the quarterback, because of his mobility. But again, shouldn't be in this position because he should have thrown a touchdown 2 plays prior. Here's an example of Mike Macdonald and Seattle manipulating the 49ers pass protection, which seems like more and more teams are doing. By doing that, they're getting a free rusher from one of the gaps. So Purdy recognizes that, does a great job, and is able to scramble for a touchdown. Again, shouldn't have to worry about that, but let's talk about just, how teams are getting over on the 49ers from a pass protection standpoint. So if you put multiple bigs on one side, which is what we've talked about, the bigs are going to slide there. So he's going to go big. He's going to go big. Center is going to go big. That leaves 1-2 for 1-2. And as you can see, the linebacker occupies Banks, but he falls off. And now Trent Williams has to take one or the other. He should probably take the first threat, the inside threat. He does not. And now, free rusher, 55. So I think he does a really good job here of acknowledging and feeling the rush, and he just takes off. So in this sense, again, like what happened before is not the same thing that's going to happen here, and it's not going to be the same thing that happens on the following play. So like every play is independent of the other play, and I think that's very important to remember when you're watching these. So in this sense, it is a great job for Purdy, once his back foot hits, to take off because you have a free rusher rushing down your throat. That was not true when the pocket was clean. So you love to see that from Purdy. Touchdown, 7-3, take the lead. But again, like the process through the first few plays were kind of iffy. On this play, Debo's going to run a deep curl, and he slips. And I believe that's the primary read. But none of that matters because there's a breakdown in pass protection. So if you watch the routes play itself out, there's Debo to the bottom there. Primary read probably, I imagine. But the check down's there. Kyle Juszczyk, but he doesn't have a chance. Eric Saubert to the bottom of the screen. He's open. But again, he doesn't have a chance. Look at the breakdown. Seattle rushes 4 and gets home. That cannot happen, especially with the way the blocking scheme works. So let's walk through it here. Again, everything is independent. So I don't think the offensive line played poorly at all. But there are also times when there are these plays, and it gets magnified when they make mistakes. Everybody thinks they're terrible. This play, you could probably qualify as terrible. So they're going to pull the right guard, Dominic Pena, and he's going to kick out the defensive end to our left, as you can see. So he's responsible for this player right here, which Kyle Juszczyk takes. Okay, so now he should probably look for work somewhere else. Doesn't have to worry about that. As Kyle Juszczyk leaves. So right here, everything's good, right? He should have ample time to look down the field, whether it's here, come back down here. But he doesn't. Why? Because teams are just going to keep doing this until the 49ers can pick it up. So they're just going to run a stunt. And look how late he is. So he's chipped, and he somehow still gets back. He gets through. Glad you asked. So again, there's a chip, and Brindle has a D-tackle. McKivitz doesn't really get to him. But really, it's on Aaron Banks, if you ask me. So they are sliding to our right. Because why? They're pulling. So everybody's going to slide this way. What Aaron Banks should do is, after he acknowledges that, okay, the guy who Trent Williams is blocking probably doesn't need help. So he's looking over here. You can see his helmet looking this way. He actually even sticks his arm out, like feeling, but he's still late to get back there. If you watch Banks, only watch Banks on this play, he sticks his arm out early, kind of feeling for that defender to come right there. So he's taken care of, right? Don't have to worry about 71. So right now, he should already be letting him go, coming back and chipping him to take him away. He does not. He's late, and that's how we get into Brock having to scramble. So again, he does a good job of keeping the play alive, staying out of a negative. But in my opinion, it's been a very down year for Banks. It's contract year, has a chance to make a lot of money, and kind of fell flat on his face. So there are a lot of plays. Well, I don't want to say a lot, but there are a handful of plays in this game where I just felt like, man, it's going to be very tough to re-sign Banks. And plays like this are why. Like, that's just a mistake you cannot make. Our very next play, interception. And I love the idea of splitting Christian McCaffrey out as a wide receiver. You're going to see Debo come in motion here behind the line of scrimmage. He's going to hold this defender. So they're basically clearing out this side of the field for Christian McCaffrey to run those return routes, which the success rate on those are just not very good. That also has a lot to do with like these separation issues. Like it's tough to get open on these type of routes. Let's watch the bottom of the screen though, if we're only talking about separation, and tell me this route isn't as good as it gets from Juwan Jennings. Look at that right there. Look at how much separation he gained on a curl route against press coverage, against a quality cornerback. So here he is right here. Inside release, acts like he's going out, has him lean in. Look at that. 3-4 yards of separation, just waiting for the ball. In my opinion, this is another reason where, not having Kittle on the field hurts. Not only for like the gravitational pull, but it's just way too deep. There's no reason. I imagine he's supposed to be at the same depth as McCaffrey, because now the defender's just in the throwing window. So like Brock, even if he was looking there, wouldn't be able to, but that's a whole other part of the play. Let's look at where Brock's looking. So he's going to go to McCaffrey no matter what. And this is where I'm talking about predetermining on the Saubert, the touchdown. So he's going to McCaffrey this whole time, regardless of what the defense told him pre-snap. He was throwing the ball to 23. And he just so happened to be throwing the ball to 23 against their first-round cornerback. This is where you have to acknowledge the matchups, right? Do I want to go McCaffrey, second game back, off a very serious injury, or do I want to go Jennings, who's been my guy all game so far up to this point, and for pretty much all season? So McCaffrey, there's the little return route. Witherspoon he's not falling for that. And from what I've seen here in McCaffrey in the 2 games, is that his straight line speed is very good, but watch him tiptoe here, like kind of pitter-pat his feet. His change of direction is not the same. Like, he doesn't have the same explosiveness coming in and out of breaks, and you can really see it there. So not a great design, not a great play call in the sense that, hey, like, we need McCaffrey to change directions, but the quarterback can't make this throw. Like, there's no reason to go here, throw it at his feet, throw it to Jennings, throw it literally anywhere else. But bad things were always going to happen when you target McCaffrey on this play. And, it just so happened to have a worst case scenario. But if you look at the line, they did their job. No complaints about the line on this play. As we pointed out, Jennings does his job. Jennings goes wide open. I would love to know what Purdy was thinking. Stares down the middle. So, again, I don't know. I would love to know why here and not here. Because here was open all game. And here is open there, but not here. Okay, 3rd and 7. 49ers, they picked this up because the quarterback scrambles. But again, if we're thinking what will work over the next 7 games, what does this team need to be successful? Is that going to be Purdy, once his back foot hits, take off and scramble? Or does he need to throw it once his back foot hits? I think we all would agree, Shanahan, Purdy, fans, anybody, that once the back foot hits, ball should be out. Look at this separation from the rookie who people are complaining about is struggling. This is as open as it gets in the NFL. Like, that is wide open. He has 3 steps of separation. Obviously, it's a very long throw, cross the field out route, but it's there. Juwan Jennings in the slot. He's going to run an in-breaking route. Gets inside leverage, wins. Right there, as we've seen, that's more separation than he had on the return route on the 3rd down that Brock threw. But I'm not sure what the quarterback is looking at here. Again, like I think his eyes were dropping more than ever in this game, and I don't know if that's because he just didn't trust his line, he didn't trust the receivers, but there are too many examples in this game of eyes dropping and not giving the wide receivers a chance. So when you hear the wide receivers aren't separating, this is 3rd down, and 2 of the wide receivers to the play side, to the wide side of the field, his best wide receivers against man coverage, are open, and he doesn't give him a chance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back foot hits. And then look, like, he's already moving. There's no reason to move. And that's another issue that I think we're starting to see a little more as the season goes on. Like, there's no pressure here. There's no real reason for him to move around. And again, it works out because defenders are always falling for that pump fake, but players are open, wide receivers are open. And in context, in the structure of the offense, wide receivers are open. So he's going to have to let it rip. And if Purdy lets it rip, which we've seen, which he's already shown in this game, the 49ers offense is going to be A-okay. But it has to start with the quarterback. So Seattle is going to bring pressure off the edge here. So they have 4. He's standing up out here. But watch the blitz here. So they're going to bring the linebacker. He's walking up. I think the nickelback comes too. So they immediately, 49ers are outnumbered. And that means the quarterback is responsible for the extra rusher. How do you beat the blitz? You just replace it. You throw right into it. And I think Purdy does an excellent job here. So on 2nd and 8, I think they were an inch short of the sticks, but like this is exactly how he should play. Let it rip, replace the blitz, play on time, be aggressive. Look at that. Like, he doesn't even take his drop. He recognizes the blitz is coming. He knows, I don't have to beat it with my legs. I don't need to win. Hot route, great job. If they bring more, they have to throw hot. That's what Kyle Shanahan said a couple weeks ago. So it's good to see Brock heed that advice here. Really good play. It doesn't seem like much, but I mean, for most quarterbacks, it's probably an incompletion, might even be a sack, but the 49ers are able to gain 7 or 8 yards. Okay, if we're thinking in terms of how many blockers are left in, where does the ball need to go? I think that kind of tells us where Shanahan wants the ball to go on this play. So what the 49ers are going to do, they're going to leave in, so they have their 5 offensive linemen, but the tight end stays in the block, running back stays in the block, so it ends up being a 2-man max protect route with Kyle Juszczyk leaking out here. He's going to end up getting the ball, but Debo's going to run off, and Chris Conley is going to run the deep dig route and breaking route. Based on everything that I just said, to me, the ball, as soon as the back foot hits, should be here, right? Like, the max protect tells me it's a long developing route, so they're going to want to block, so they want to throw the ball down the field. Does not give him a chance. Maybe it's a trust issue. Maybe I want nothing to do with Chris Conley. Who knows? But he's open. Like this, he's not, unless he like throws it on the line. And we've seen Brock layer throws and be able to throw over linebackers. There's no way he's going to be able to nail down on this in time. But there's another explosive play that instead of 1st and 10 around here, it's 2nd and 3 for a 7-yard gain. So like, sure, you want to take the profit, but there's a bigger profit to be had because you have time. And again, for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't know if Purdy's just not trusting what he's seeing, not giving his wide receivers a chance, but he's not even he's not even looking down the field here. And that's never been who 13's been during his tenure as a 49ers quarterback. So I thought it was interesting just to see that because that's not really his habit, right? Over the course of these past couple seasons, he's passed up that route to Juice and forced it into much tighter windows to Conley. So maybe it's a Conley thing, but I think it was definitely worth pointing out. So like, again, when we're talking separation in context, Conley was wide open, but he didn't get the ball. So because he didn't get the ball, separation stats only show up when you are targeted. And here on this play, it's a run play. Speaking of separation and wide receivers, this is the only play Jacob Cowing had this game. And it came in a slot where he went in motion and had to block. And that was the only time we saw Jacob Cowing on the field. Okay, so it's 1st and 15. Debo's coming in motion here. And what they're going to do is have Debo run the return route, which just doesn't work. And they're going to have a double post here. So Pearsall is going to be the first post, and Jennings is going to be the post right behind him. Purdy needs to let this rip right now. Back foot hit right now. Look at this separation. If he throws the ball right here, even if he throws the ball right here, like it's going to be a hit. But I mean, if he throws it on time right now, in anywhere between here and there, I don't think he has an opportunity to run after the catch. But it's a first down regardless. But instead, he's holding. I don't know if this is not seeing the field clearly, not trusting what he sees. But I've seen Brock Purdy rip it. I've seen him rip these throws over the past couple seasons consistently. Back foot hits out. Look at this window right here. Sure, he's looking at him and he wants him to throw, but you think he can make up this kind of ground? I don't believe so at all. I think the ball needs to be out right now, and if it is, first down. But instead, hold, and you get a sack. That's a quarterback sack in my mind. I wouldn't blame McKivitz for that. The ball needs to come out. But yeah, it's a weird game just because the things that showed up in this game we haven't really seen from Purdy over the course of the season, over the course of last season, over the course of the previous half season. It's very strange, and I don't really know. I don't want to say blame, but is it as simple as just not having Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle? Maybe, but even here, you see a tip pass. What have I been saying about tip passes? Like that's a quarterback stat. Because if you are staring down your receiver, if you are only looking at him, the defensive line, they know when to get a hand up. And that's exactly what happens here. You see the duck, the quack. Pearsall was open there. And another separation stat that, you'll never hear because he has an opportunity to run after the catch. So, tip pass. Well, we saw him holding the ball. Just an off game, I guess is the easiest way to put it. In here, 3rd and 23, I think. This is another example where Debo's open. So you can see him. Watch Debo. Telling Jennings, get on the line. Somebody. And these are like the experienced one. This is the rookie right here. Those are guys that need to know what they're doing. So, all right, here's the play. Let's watch it play out. 3rd and 23. And the reason that he's telling them to get on the line, mind you, is because he's going in motion. So you can't go in motion when you're on the line of scrimmage. Debo's going to come on motion, and he's going to sit over the ball route, wide open. Throw it. Too late. And now incompletion. What does that mean? So this incompletion takes him out of field goal range. I'm not going to say Debo catches the ball and picks up 25 yards and the offense stays on the field. Like, that's not realistic. But if he catches the ball, you give Moody an opportunity. So he pumps left. Okay. We just saw him throw the ball, beating the blitz, replacing the blitz without his feet set within a blink. Here, he's holding, he's waiting, he's a tick count late. And maybe this is like the physical traits, right? Where, he doesn't have that oomph. He doesn't have the fastball to get it in there, fit it into a tight window. Because of that, he's late and it's a little bit behind. And you leave points on the board. So just a very strange game from the quarterback. And like the sequence of plays, like they're clustered together. So it seems a lot worse than what it really is. But when the mistakes are, jumbled together like this, not a great look for the offense, that's for sure. But Shanahan stayed aggressive. This is right before the half. Jennings, top of the screen, comeback. Have an opportunity if he catches this to make something happen, and instead, he misses. And they don't get any points out of this drive. Again, like, I'm not saying they would have completed another pass and got Moody into field goal range, but they would have had an opportunity to, and I think that's the real takeaway. No complaints from the offensive line here, but that's a cross-field throw. Jennings, plenty of separation. I don't hear any separation issues there. Like, right in the NFL, 2, 3, 4 steps, it's about as wide open as it gets. But you see the airmail here, and he misses. And the 49ers go into the half without getting any points on the final drive. If there's one play in the game that really illustrates Brock's lack of vision in this specific game, it's this play. It's 2nd and 19, I believe. So to the top of the screen, you have Pearsall and you have Debo. So it's going to be a smash concept. So Debo's going to run a curl route right here, and then Pearsall is going to run the deep corner. How many times would we see Pearsall not let this rip right here? Or sorry, Purdy not let it rip right here. Like, that is as open as it gets. If you're reading the corner, which is what you're supposed to do in smash, he will tell you what to do. If he sits, throw the corner. If he bails, throw it to Debo. He does kind of both, right? Like, he's not guarding anybody. You could throw it to either one and be right, but for whatever reason, he doesn't let it rip. Throw it here. Would love to throw it here, but okay, throw it here. Give one of your guys a chance. And instead, he moves off, and then he comes back to the other field. So usually you want to go here to here to here. You're going to have a real trouble. You're going to have a lot of trouble if your plan is to go from here back to here, back to here, which is what Purdy does. And then, again, just taking unnecessary hits should not happen. Throw the ball to your playmakers. 3 players are open right here, and you don't give either of them a chance. So that's how I know Brock is off right here, because back foot hits, 3 wide receivers are open, drop your eyes and scramble. Can't happen. Something to keep an eye on next week against Green Bay. The next 6 games after that, see how he's seeing the field, because this is very uncharacteristic to see him just holding the ball and taking like these. You don't have to take these hits. Like, let the playmakers take the hits. Let them get the ball. I know it's probably frustrating for the receivers, but the quarterback needs to let it rip. Okay, so it's 3rd and 15, and notice how we haven't talked about the offensive line in a long time. Notice how we haven't talked about the wide receivers' lack of separation. Notice how we haven't talked about the play caller, Shanahan, who people think is the worst person in the world right now. So on 3rd and 15, watch this play. Again, very next play. Debo's going to come in motion, and that's the target right here. 3rd and 15, open. Now, throw it, throw it, throw it, throw it. Look at this window between these guys. So he ends up checking it down to McCaffrey, which obviously isn't the worst idea in the world, but it's 3rd and 15. Look where you are on the field. Like, Moody should be able to make this no matter what. Why not give Debo a chance here? But he's looking right down the middle, and then again, for whatever reason, I think he's just given up on plays too early, and that was in this specific game. It's not a habit, but it was a reoccurring theme in this game. 2, 3, 4, 5 back foot hits. And look, he's already ready to get rid of the ball. When in reality, as he's looking down the middle, back foot hits, these guys are going to tell you what to do, right? As they widen, as he widens, it's there. Like, give him a shot. Give him a chance. And instead, you settle for a field goal. So that's pretty much, those are the plays that I want to show. Shanahan said he broke down the final 2 drives of the game on both sides of the ball with the offense. Again, just holding the ball for the quarterback, it leads to bad things. Here, holding the ball and scrambling, like that penalty right there on Banks is because of the quarterback scrambled and it holds the ball. I'm not saying that he should throw it to a covered spot, but in this sense, like, Banks doesn't know where the quarterback is. Like, he's expecting him to be in the pocket. So as soon as the quarterback breaks the pocket like that, of course he's going to get held. It's like, what would you rather him do in this situation? Good question. So either climb, right? Like, everything doesn't have to be a scramble. Just climb and find somebody. If you climb, look, he has no idea that somebody's behind him right now. So climb, throw it to 15, and look, by the time he's turning around, it's too late. You can throw the ball this way. Problem solved. So Brock, moving forward, let it rip. Thanks everybody for watching. I will be in Lambeau Field. First game I'm attending this year, so hopefully I am good luck. Hopefully I see Brock let it rip, because I've seen him let it rip for 2.5 years. So I'm not buying the wide receiver separation issues. I didn't really feel like the offensive line had a bad game. I didn't have a problem with many of Shanahan's calls. I would love to see Cowing involved more. I would love to see the running game involve more of Jordan Mason and maybe Christian McCaffrey as a receiver, but the quarterback has to play better, and he has to play like a $60 million man if the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. Again, thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe if you aren't. I will be back more with the other side of the ball and maybe some running game stuff in the offense, but I think it's pretty important to show like what this offense is, because players are open and they're moving the ball. They're just not scoring at the clip that they were in years past, which is going to be difficult to sustain anyway, but not much has changed as far as players getting open. And the one constant in this game anyway was just inconsistencies in the quarterback not being sure of himself, which is an anomaly from what we've seen over the past 2.5 years, which leads me to believe the 49ers are going to be okay.